Hey everybody, Shifty here, and are you tired of stressing out over what heroes to practice to solve the multitude of problems you come across when you queue up alone? Choosing the right hero in competitive Overwatch can be the difference between getting hard stuck and climbing the ranks fast. Usually, it's a good idea to avoid one-tricking heroes if your goal is to give yourself the best chance to win every match. So in today's guide, you'll be getting an inside look into the best 5 heroes to add to your hero pool this season so you can help carry your games more consistently that don't require a ton of team coordination to be effective. You'll learn why each of these picks are so strong in today's meta, as well as how you can apply these tips that I'll be showing you for immediate impact. Make sure you watch the full video and give a thumbs up if you like it. Now let's get started. Starting off at number 5, we have Widowmaker. Now, don't think this gives you the green light to win Trick Widow all the time against any composition on any map. Also, it takes a certain amount of consistency with your aim to get enough value with your shots as Widowmaker, so unless you're honest with yourself and think you have at least diamond level accuracy, you probably don't want to rely on this pick too often. However, Widowmaker is situationally a fantastic hero and can easily be one of the most impactful choices in the game given these caveats. Number 1, when you possess good enough mechanical skill to be consistent with her. It's really important to make sure you land at least most of your shots when you have free reign. Number 2, when your situational awareness on angles and potential threats is high enough. This is going to come from experience and looking out and being aware. Number 3, the point of the map allows both space and multiple angles that you can confidently exploit. Second point Eichenwald is a great example of a Widowmaker point that you can get a lot of space and a lot of angles. But once you transition to third point, not so much. Number 4, the enemy team isn't protected by a shield that you can't get around. And this is very important against compositions like bunker comp or grouped up behind a shield that you really just can't get enough value on. Number 5, they don't possess multiple counters that you cannot deal with. So if they don't have Winston, Genji, Sombra, Diva all in your face, or at least as an option, then that's a pretty good opportunity. But if they do have multiple of these heroes, yeah, think twice. And number 6, when it's time to make that annoying Pharah sit down. Widowmaker is the ultimate counter to her, so make sure to pull her out when necessary. For more tips and tricks on Widowmaker, go check out my other video featuring Kenzo. Now, since most heroes can't contest Widowmaker's extreme range, you only have to worry about minimal threats as you pick her in the right situations. Widowmaker's one-shot kill potential also allows you to get multiple selective picks, punishing enemies' poor positioning while using the rest of your team partly as a distraction and helping take out obstacles to make their jobs easier. While you have to remind your healers when you do get low on health, since it's common for many supports to forget to look above them or behind them, you usually won't need too much healing too often as Widowmaker, as you usually do around your own thing without the need to coordinate with the rest of your team too much. Widowmaker can also be a great tool at setting up crossfires in conjunction with your own bunker compositions, so that the enemy team has to choose which one of the 2 threats to focus on, while the other is free to pick them off. When to swap offer? Well, just remember that if you start to pop off on Widowmaker, the enemy might make some swaps and attempt to throw everything they've got at you. So be prepared to either change your playstyle drastically as new threats become a possibility. Winston, Diva, Hammond, Genji, Sombra, and a strong pocketed counter Widowmaker can all make your life much more difficult. There is no shame to swap off of something that counters the overly invested anti-Widowmaker compositions the enemy team transitions into. Take it as a sign of respect if they feel the need to do this to you. If they do transition into a bunker composition and you can't get that angle past their shield, then it might be time to focus on another win condition. Overall, I'm giving Widowmaker a solid 7 out of 10. Up next, number 4, Brigitte. Now, I know how much fun Brigitte is to play is kind of a debatable topic, but how effective she is at peeling, healing during a brawl, and frontline pressure as a support, that's not debatable. And she's very important to be able to play to some extent to solve problems that your enemy team may just be incapable of solving. When to use her. Number 1, when the enemy team has flankers that are likely to be a problem for your team. Number 2, when your team could use more frontline pressure than it currently has. And number 3, when your team already has a main healer, but you could just use for a little bit more sustain than you currently have. Now, Brigitte is probably the toughest support to kill, thanks to her tanky 250 base health, 500 health shield, and 16.67 health per second regen once she lands her mace on someone. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with at close range. Peeling for your team is something that most solo queue compositions simply lack, and Brigitte is one of the most effective ways to shut down flankers and protect otherwise vulnerable backsides of your team. Does the enemy team have a Genji, Tracer, Sombra, Reaper, or even a Mei that's flanking and wrecking your team in the backline? Brigitte can put a stop to all of that real quick if you keep your eyes and ears open to make sure that you're there in the right spot at the right time to punish them. Even if you're a little late to the peel, her repair pack can save an endangered teammate with the quickest burst of healing in the game thanks to a quick 150 health top-off. You sure there are no flankers around? Well, now it's time to give the front line some attention that you've been ignoring by making sure that you go through the enemy team shields and providing solid healing to everyone around you. Don't forget that you can use your shield bash to stun and set up plays with your teammates if they decide to listen to you. When to swap off Brigitte? Well, remember that she's near useless against long-range heroes, and she is not a main support, so you'll need a solid healer to complement her. Brigitte and Zenyatta, that's probably not going to be enough healing for your team. Also, her healing is mostly area of effect, and she has no mobility, so keep that in mind if your team is going to go a mobile-heavy composition on flankers like a dive comp. Overall, I'm giving the girl with the mace to the face a solid 7 out of 10 as well. Next, number 3, we have yours truly, D.Va. Now, D.Va is one of the most flexible, underappreciated heroes in the game. You really have to have a big brain to get the most out of D.Va. She has so many roles that she can help with and fix so many different kinds of problems that other heroes can't. She's like a firefighter rushing to the scene to put out every fire before it becomes too out of control, and needs to know when to escape before she burns up and loses her mech. When to use her. Number 1, when 2 seconds of defense matrix can really help your team close the gap on the enemy. Number 2, to help eliminate impactful projectiles like dynamite, biogrenade, Orisa halts, and graviton. Number 3, to contest hard to reach enemies in areas like high ground that no one else can deal with very well as secure space. Number 4, when you need a bit more help to protect your back line from flankers. Number 5, when you could use an additional front line and shield break pressure than what you currently have. As you can see, D.Va has a lot of responsibilities, but being a close range hero with high mobility means that you'll need to be in the right spot at the right time and manage your cooldowns effectively to get the most out of her. D.Va can be instrumental in giving your team the protection it needs to get through hotly contested spam, or deal with a pesky sniper or flanker that is otherwise uncontested. She can spam for a Sombra to make it much more difficult for her to get her hacks off, farm her ult, etc. But she can also lay down surprising amount of shield damage and frontline pressure, as well as point pressure, to be able to take on most heroes 1 vs 1 and secure space for your team. Being useful for so many different things means that you'll rarely get a team that can't find some use out of a D.Va. However, it's paramount to make sure that you know what your priorities should be at any given point, and try not to bite off more than you can chew so that you never lose your mech too early. When to swap off her? Well, unlike most heroes, D.Va can be great in the vast majority of compositions. However, if you find that the enemy is really punishing you with a Zarya, a Roadhog, or even a Mei, and you can't seem to find a role where you can be effective with her, or your team doesn't quite seem to be able to support you in the roles that you want to try to utilize, then it might be time to swap off to something that handles the situation better. Simply put, if you have bigger problems to solve than what D.Va can provide, it's time to pull out a different tool for the job. So, I'm giving D.Va a flexible 7.5 out of 10. Now, rolling up at number 2, Orisa. Although Reinhardt and Winston have been the traditional main tanks for most of Overwatch's life, and players have situationally played Orisa, many have neglected to master what was previously considered a niche tank pick. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't play those previous tanks anymore, not at all. But with the rise of bunker comp and the rise of boops and crowd control, along with the inconsistency of support that you're going to have from your team, it's really time to embrace Orisa as a tank that you should know how to make the most out of all of her capabilities. When to use her. Number 1, when your team is looking to be committing to a low mobility defensive composition like a bunker. Number 2, you don't have the confidence that your team can provide pressure from behind your shield as a Reinhardt or provide follow-up with your initiation as a Winston. Number 3, you don't need to protect your team and move at the same time when transitioning to gain space. Number 4, you can utilize environmental hazards to secure kills frequently with their halt ability. Ever feel like you were holding your shield and nothing was happening behind you on Reinhardt? Tired of Doomfist and Lucio's bouncing you around like a ping pong ball? You have nightmares of jumping on a target as a Winston and no one coming to help you out? Got nowhere to go anytime soon? Is that a Bastion on your team? Then Orisa might just be the hero for you. Being able to make an impact with your fusion driver and halts, while at the same time protecting yourself and your team with your shield that you don't have to babysit, can make a huge difference in both an active impact on your team as well as keeping your protection active. An essential component to the bunker strategy, it's also good for any situation. You don't have to worry about the enemy team easily getting on top of you. It's essential to put your shields in the perfect locations and manage your cooldowns appropriately so that you can set it back up if you need to transition to a new spot, or to time that fresh shield when you know they're pushing so you get the full value out of your previous shield as well. Make sure to use your halt ability to slow down enemy transitions, snare mispositioned enemies around corners, and possibly dump people right off the map. When to swap offer? Well, ultimately, Orisa is more effective on defending sides than attacking sides, since you don't have to worry about gaining space for great positioning as much. You just have to defend the best location you can. You also want to make sure that the enemy can't easily reach you and you have a spot that has the proper line of sight, as well as defending a choke point that is difficult to flank. Lastly, if your team wants to be aggressive and proactive, not passive and patient, Orisa is the worst main tank for that job. I give the Bunker Queen an impressive 8.5 out of 10 right now. And finally, topping off at number 1, none other than Ana. If you could only play one support hero for the entirety of Season 16, regardless of composition, then that support should be Ana. While she does have moderate aim requirements, Ana is the most flexible support with some of the best single target healing output in the game. Gotta heal some flankers? Goats? Bunker? Dive? Unlike other supports, she can keep up with just about any composition. She also pairs well with just about any other support, not restricting the synergy and providing fight-changing utility cooldowns. When to use her? Number 1, when you need a main healer. She's very good at being able to heal at all situations. Number 2, when you have good targets to enable with Nano Boost, like a Reinhardt, a Genji, a Soldier, or even a Reaper. Number 3, when there is a low amount of flank potential on the enemy team or a high amount of peel on your team. Here's a fun fact for you. In ranks Diamond and above, Ana is currently being picked almost twice as much as the next best support in the game. This is due to the fact of how versatile, flexible, and impactful she can be, and maybe a little bit of how much fun she is to play. Ana can pump out 94 healing per second on a single target, upping that to 140 healing per second if she uses her Bio Grenade, with that 50% increase healing. This is the same healing output as a Moira ultimate. Ana can swap healing targets extremely easily and quickly, and isn't limited by range like most healers, only requiring line of sight of your ally. This means you don't care if your fellow teammates pick heroes that don't stay with the team, as long as you remind them where your line of sight will be. Now, next throw in 2 of the most powerful cooldowns in the game with Biotic Grenade and Sleep Dart. you've got a really powerful hero. Remember to use her Bionade mostly to block healing on the enemy when your team can pressure that player and call it out. Big antis can be more powerful than most ultimates. It's also her only source of self-healing, however. And that 100 HP heal can be the difference between living and dying, so make sure you choose wisely on how to use that 10-second cooldown. Her Sleep Dart is her best defensive measure, so try to get used to delayed firing of her animation when she uses it, as well as a slower than you might think travel time of the Sleep Dart itself. Her ultimate isn't as powerful as Zenyatta or Lucio, that's true, I'll give him that. So you won't be able to save your team in a pinch. However, it charges up much faster than those ultimates, and can be very powerful when paired up with the right person and timed correctly. Unlike defensive support ultimates where you often have to react to counter what the enemy team does, with Nano Boost, you want to be proactive with it, being aggressive and turning an even fight into a fight where you have the advantage. When to swap off her. Now, while Ana is a fantastic hero, her weaknesses is that she has a complete lack of mobility. It's time to swap off her if you're being focused too hard by the enemy and you aren't getting enough help that you need to stay alive. Most of the time you should be fine, but if you have multiple flankers in your face and maybe a Diva or a Ball or a Winston, your Sleep Dart and Bio Grenade just won't be enough, and it might be time to swap off to a support that can stay alive more consistency with more mobility and a self-heal, defensive abilities, kind of like a Lucio, Moira, Mercy, or Brig. Overall, I give Ana, in this current meta, a solid, amazing 9 out of 10. Game Leap is the proven way to help you reach your desired rank fast. Our website, GameLeap.com, is the most comprehensive library of pro player guides available. You'll find dozens of in-depth courses that are carefully crafted by players in the top 500 bracket so you can start winning a lot more of your games. Get your membership today at 25% off. It costs about the same as a Twitch sub, so you can get much more value in return. We're so confident in our product that if you don't like it, we're happy to issue a full refund. So get your membership today by clicking right here. See you on the inside.